because when they colonized Africa, they made sure that each country is so small that it really has no global representation when it comes to the global economy, when it comes to global decisions. They really have so little representation. But anytime those nations decide they want to unite,
Mm-hmm.
somebody of the other race will come in and find a way to create a civil war between those two countries just to make sure that they don't unite. People, the best thing in this world we can do is unite.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Martin and Malcolm were so good at, uniting our people. And again, what helps me to overcome my ire or my angst, what helps me to overcome all that is to recognize how ignorant they are for devaluing the gifts and the talents and the abilities, the integrity, the intelligence of African American people. I mean, it's just preposterous. How? I mean, look. Well, let me use something for an example right now. All of your world beauty women right now, whether it's Miss America or whether it's Miss India or whether it's Miss World or whoever it is, every one of them are of black descent. So how can you discredit all this stuff in the name of superiority? So yes, it has a tendency to be a. So how can you discredit all this stuff in the name of superiority? So yes, it has a tendency to be a. So how can you discredit all this stuff in the name of superiority? So yes, it has a tendency to be a. So how can you discredit all this stuff in the name? Somebody caught me preaching.
Yeah. Wow.
But as I was saying, it does have a tendency to be touchy to me. But again, it's just realizing that it's not our fault that they don't recognize the good in us. But what we have to do is come together and recognize the good in each other. Continue to unite, continue to build together, continue to grow together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's gonna be our major factor in just like Martin said, we shall overcome. Listen, let me say this and I'm gonna be done. We have suffered one of the worst things that any other human can inflict upon somebody else. We've been raped, we've been pillaged, we've been beaten, we've been burned, we've been hosed, we've had dogs sick on us. And look at our resilience. Look at how we still have the propensity to overcome. We still have the gumption. We still have the will. How have we been able to still stand? Because we have a strength that they will never break. We have a strength as a race of people that will never be broken. And they tried it with so many of our people down through the years. But when you look at it, look at where we stand on the global scale.
And we get stronger. I think at the end of the day, thank you so much, Malcolm, is what he's saying is at the end of the day, we are now, and I'm going to bring Lynn up here in a minute because today she was reading and she got kind of confused, right? And she said, I'm just lost. And sometimes I think it loses us a lot. And to a case where I really wanted to get in here. I didn't go in here. I didn't want to go as deep as we did with this Martin Luther King. But I do, at the end of the day, when it comes down to this religious thing and all of these types of things, it's like racism. The devil, God and Baptist and let me see what else. Jehovah's Witness and what else is it? Catholic. I was watching a movie last night and he said when he had, it's like people who go to school. She went to school to be a lawyer. She goes to school and she becomes, but she's a what is she, Lynn?
A public defender.
A public defender. And the lady said to her, she said, do you pray to the rosary? Kind of like, are you Catholic? Something's wrong. Like, what happened? What was she saying there, Lynn?
She just was. I think she was drawing parallels. Like I'm almost thinking she definitely developed a judgment because she saw that the young lady had on the rosary.
That,
and, which people do.
But are we taught this? Are these things that we're like, even in this room? We say, please, there's no judgment in this room. Is that true? I ain't looking at you judging. Do we look at her like, is this something that will, help us get through this world today? In this world, like judgment, like, oh my God, what if I had found out about you being a Jehovah's Witness and saying, oh my goodness, I ain't doing that. Like, I can't hang out with you. You knocking on my door, my mama. Like when my mom came to the house to meet her the first time and she says, well, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Well, Mom, I can't talk to you. It's just so many things we talked about this. So, Lynn,
Kim, that goes both ways.
It goes,
what if I was like, oh, you're not a Jehovah's Witness? But the fact of the matter was I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was baptized a Jehovah's Witness, and I haven't been to the hall actively since the adult, really. So, there are some things, some core principles that I hold on to and believe, but a lot of that I ultimately didn't agree with. I got baptized at the age of 16. So, the life that I had lived up until that point, my understanding of religion up until that point, and just things in general, that was as of a 16-year-old. Now, the things that I believe, I've lived some life at this point. And the things that, my experiences and, and people that I've met and other things that I have been exposed to, I can't say that I would make that same decision. And now I believe I'm more spiritual than wanting to align myself with any one particular religion, because I want to know why you believe the way you believe, and I want you to be able to tell me that and share that with me, because I believe that there's something really big out there that, why does any one religion have to be the right religion? And if there is one right religion, what now? Everybody else is wrong. And I don't know. I just have a problem with that concept.
And guys, I want y'all to hear something, because I know it's like this. If I said, what was this that the guy went to school for? He went to study what? Monk? He's a monk or something?
He's a monk.
Okay. or Buddhism. These are things at the end of the day a lot of us can be challenged by. What's right and what's wrong? Well, so we came up with this thing, that book. I want y'all to get the book too, because I'm gonna start doing some stuff from this book called Sundays, and it's just he asked a question, and she said, "Okay, Malcolm, who is God to you?" That's how the words go. Who is that it? Is that Lynn, that thing? Who's God to him? No.
Yeah, well, it was, these were, like, I'll say, loosely constructed questions. So, the book is trying to imitate the way that she does the show.
Yes.
So she kind of threw a question out there about, who do you believe God is? Or what is God to you? That was the general gist of what she was asking. And so far, I have probably read the responses of about 8 people, all very different. And I'll leave it that way, because I don't want to
mess up. Okay, so I'm trying to unmute you, Malcolm, because at the end of the day, and I'm not asking him this question because it's like it's an awareness, it's an awakening of spirits. Things like this, they happen to just open you up and say, it's like, I think Arsenio Hall would say, things that make us go, and then when you start asking people of the status of these folks, it's like, I think it's really good, because your spirit, a spirit man, like I always say, is it a person? Is God a person? Like, he ain't never knocked on no door and said, "Hey, bro, sit down. Let me have a talk with you." How, like, I don't understand, we're going, what? Lady, get off my phone. All these people. So, at the end of the day, it's like, yo, what's up? He ain't never knocked on no door. Well, God, he told me that you're going to be the prophet. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they was talking about a prophet and how the prophet called it out. And what is a prophet? Am I a prophet? Desmond! Go ahead there, Malcolm. I see. All right. Who is God to you, brother? Let's talk.
God is the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And God is, by His Spirit, God has created everything that we know that has been created. But God is also a lawyer. And once God created the earth, out of His Spirit, out of His Word, out of His ability, once He created the earth, He gave it to Adam. But there was somebody else here that swindled it from Adam, so it became rightfully the property of another individual. So God, what God does now, by His Spirit, is He uses the rightful owner of the earth to get His work done in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
God looks for people to partner with, to become a private contractor with, so that He can work through that conduit. Anybody that allows God to work through them, they are a conduit that's allowing God to work through them to get the work done in the earth that God would like to see done in the earth on behalf of the man that He put in charge of. So God is a spirit. Um, he is a person. He is a person of such vast magnificence that he can create everybody the way that they are in all of their similarities, yet have them be so much different that not even one of your fingerprints is duplicated in anywhere that we can go. Nobody has ever seen a fingerprint that is duplicated somewhere else. No two people have the same fingerprints. No two people have the same voice.
Oh. Did you say no two people have the same fingerprints?
Exactly.
Okay. So it's a funny thing when the universe winks at you that he said this. Somebody said on Saturday, twins have the same fingerprints. If they don't?
No.
No.
They are individuals. It doesn't matter how identical they are individuals. Twins don't have the same fingerprints. Because if twins had the same fingerprints, then you would have a person walking around here, let's say one of them goes rogue and he's out doing stuff, they can come and get the other one. That's not, it hasn't been proven to be possible.
Okay.
It hasn't been proven to this point to be possible.
Okay.
So, I have had many instances in my life where I have literally heard the voice of God. One instance was 4 years ago. I was losing a house, and it was because of my failure in business. Kemp, I've been on this call for 4 years.
Okay.
I was losing a house, and I was in that house with all the utilities off. It was still loaded with furniture. I was doing everything I could to get my business back up so that I could afford to catch up with with everything that it took to operate my home. And it all just fell through. Well, I was mad at God about it, and I was laying on the floor crying, screaming and hollering and beating the carpet. And out of all that noise that I was making, I heard the voice of God say, call Kenya. This was a specific person who told me to call her specifically. She had once been a part of my team, but I hadn't spoken to her in like 2.5 to 3 years. Because once I got to a certain point, I had to do a leave behind, and she was part of the team that I left behind. Well, all those people quit, and she was one that quit. But at the time I was doing all this screaming and yelling, God said, call Kenya. And I sat up and I started to cuss God out. I said, what do you mean call Kenya? I'm sitting here losing my house, and you want me to call Kenya? I haven't spoken to this woman in 3 years. And you want me to call? What can Kenya do? God is not obligated to repeat himself. And I realized that. So God didn't say anything else. So I dried my face. I picked up my phone and I called Kenya. At the moment that I called Kenya, Kenya told me that she had just gotten her real estate license. And her broker told her that she was going to have to get her life insurance license back because she needed it. That could be valuable to her. At the time I called Kenya, she was looking for somebody to get back into the business. That's what she told me. I'm looking for somebody to get back into the business so I can get my life insurance license back. I believe that it was God that told me to call Kenya. I can't imagine anywhere else where that thought would have come up, because I hadn't spoken with Kenya in 2.5 to 3 years. He said, call Kenya. I called Kenya. At the time I called Kenya, she was looking for somebody to get back into the business. Now, fast forward 4 years. I just bought a house. I'm sitting in a brand new house that I bought, that my wife and I have come together to buy. Guess who sold us the house? The woman that God told me to call, who had just gotten her real estate license. She got back on the team. She's part of my team now. We're still building a team together, but she also does real estate. I had a cousin that had invited us to come to a seminar about real estate because my wife told her that we were looking for a house. Well, when we called her, she never answered the phone. So I asked my wife, would she be opposed to Kenya showing us the houses that we had looked at? She said, no, I wouldn't be opposed to it. We called Kenya. Kenya was Johnny on the spot. We went and we viewed some houses. So by the time we got qualified for a home, we knew exactly what we were looking for. We already had everything picked out. We made her job easy. But you're looking at something that happened in 4 years. When you lose a house, when you go to foreclosure, I don't know about what y'all do, but this stuff stays on your record for 7 to 10 years. Well, it's only 4 years ago. So through Kenya, I was able to meet some other people that knew how to clean up credit and all these things. And I got all this. I got 2 repossessions off of my credit. I got a foreclosure off of my credit. In 120 days, we started, I would say 6 months. We started looking in July, and I knew for a fact that I didn't qualify. So I was introduced to this guy, and in 120 days, this guy takes me from lower 500 to 700 in credit score, to where I could qualify. Well, all of this was initiated 4 years ago when God told me to call King. There are other instances that I could explain to you guys how I know that God is real because of how he has dealt with me in my life, simply by whispering in my ear. God has the loudest, quiet voice you'll ever hear. God never shouts. He never shouts. And when he speaks to you, it's going to sound very much like you're speaking to yourself. This is from my experience. When I was called to preach, he told me to give attendance to reading, to exhortation, and to doctrine. I heard his voice say it. Give attendance to reading, to exhortation, and to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in you that was given you by prophecy with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. Meditate upon these things, that thy profiting may appear before all. And by doing this, you will not only save yourself, but also those that hear you. That's what I heard God say that. And I thought the voice came from behind me. Mm-hmm. It actually came from within. Wow. Because God is in me.
Better go ahead, y'all. Give it up for the brother, Malcolm. He just said that. All right.
I hope that helps Lynn.
Yeah.
I hope that helps Lynn. Lynn, I don't know what you know about God. I don't know what your experiences are with religion. I don't just do religion. I teach out of my spirit. I believe God to be true because he talks to me. When Bridget and who was it? Dynamic Debbie started calling me Oracle, they named me right, because that's what an oracle does. An oracle gets a message from a divine being and shares that message. Mm-hmm. So oracle fits.
Very well.
And I really believe that I know for a fact, nobody can change my mind about this, that God is real. He's real to me. And when we finally meet, we'll sit down and we'll share, and I'll show you some things about how God is real to me, how I know that he's real to me.
Thank you very much. Y'all give it up for Malcolm again. Bam. Go ahead, Lynn. So, as we're asking this, and again, it's like I said to Lynn, I said, what did I say to you earlier today? And you said, that's exactly what people are saying after the question is asked. Well, it was taught to me like, I think,
right,
yes.
Right. I mean, it's not that, I guess, well, Malcolm, my question wasn't about God. Not at all. I have very definite feelings on who I think he is or is not. My question, I guess, and what my conversation with Kemp is everybody in this book is giving their idea or whatever, and I'm just trying to understand where every person is coming from. It's like, because some of them all hit on something that I'm familiar with, and some don't. If it's something new, if I give it some merit, be like, oh, okay, I can get that. I could, I can understand that. Some of these things, I guess, are confusing to me because A, I don't believe that way, or B, I'm just trying to understand what people are saying in this book. And my question, or what my statement was, more or less to Kemp, I said it kind of reminds me of, for those of you who have children, and your kids gets into that phase where they start asking the why questions. And then why is the sky blue, and why is this, and why is that, and then the more you answer them, the more questions they have. And then so I'm like, am I just gathering all this information, and now that I have all of this information, I've confused myself. So that's more or less what my conversation with Kemp was in reference to. And one person just had some really interesting views on what he thought God was, and I wanted to kind of share it with Kemp to see what he thought, like if he could explain it. I mean, it's like, sometimes you just need somebody else to read the same thing that you've just read, because they get a different understanding, or like what we do every day in this group. We all read the same book, but we all have different levels of understandings or perspectives, thank you, Sharon, about what we've just read. And this person says something that was really, really deep. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting what this dude is saying. And I'm like, Kemp, I want to read it to you later, because maybe you can pull something out of it, that I couldn't. So that's kind of where we were with that. I'm not questioning God or anything like that. Just was trying to understand somebody else's viewpoint.
And then it even goes as far as, watch this, I had said, we're looking in the book, and nobody in the book has answered that question the same exact way. So who he is to you is who he is to you. I don't know. Malcolm can say who he is to him. I can't tell him whether he's right or wrong. I don't know. He ain't never whispered in my ear. But does that mean he hasn't spoken and said something of whispering in my ear? And these are the topics that a lot of people run away from. Why? Because it can be so open, broad. It can be whatever. And then we get an argument like, man, it ain't right. Like, call it what you want. Go ahead, Malcolm.
Let me say this. Can y'all hear me?
No, not really, but I can hear you.
Okay. Nobody is ever really totally right.
Yes.
So we all have, just like Lynn said, we all have our ideas. But I believe what God does is uses the differences of people to get a different perspective. I think we're all like a big jigsaw puzzle. There are I believe that there are some people that are Jehovah's Witnesses that have a good relationship with God. I believe there are Baptists, there are Pentecostal. There's always somebody somewhere in some religious group that knows who God is. I believe that personally, because God uses all these different factions, and he uses us he uses us as a group, as if we are a body. When you look at your body, how your body functions, your body is able to coordinate things. You got ear and eye coordination, you got mouth and tongue coordination, you walk, you do all these things, and everything in your body has its function. And all while you're walking and doing all this other stuff, there are things going on internally. And I believe, Lynn, just like all those different ideas and those different ways that people think about that subject that you're on, it all can be useful in some way, in some coordinated way, to bring about a final synopsis or a final whatever. I think it's all brought together and meant to be brought together to bring you to one conclusion. And all of those ideas, all of those thoughts, just like everybody in Baptist ain't right, but they ain't all wrong.
That's
Everybody
right.
in Pentecostal ain't right, but they ain't all wrong. Everybody in Jehovah's Witness ain't right, but they ain't all wrong. There are some people that are good in every one of them, and there are some pieces of each doctrine that's good in every one of them. In every doctrine, there's something that God uses to get people's attention. And whatever it may take for that person, or whatever it may take for that doctrine of teaching, God uses it to his benefit so that he again can partner with man, so that he, through man, who is the rightful owner of the earth, can get the work done that God wants done in the earth. All God is looking for is partners, somebody that'll join him in covenant so that he can work through you. Do y'all know? Some of y'all might not know, but I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done. God came to Mary and asked her for permission to plant his son in her womb. And when Mary realized what was going on, she said, "Look at me, I'm going to be the handmaid of the Lord. Be it unto me according to what you just said." In other words, whatever you want to do to me, do it. Bring your son forth, and if I'm going to be the vehicle through which you do it, by all means, go ahead and do it. But God asked her for permission, just like he's asking each of you for permission in your own lives and in your own perspectives, in your own areas. He's asking you for permission to work through you as a conduit so that he can reach some other people through you.
Hey, to the freaking man. Amen. Yeah. Amen. Woo. Hey. All right, go ahead, Desmond. Yeah.
Well, the oracle, you were right. You know, listen. There's a chapter in the Quran that says that Allah created us all different, not so that we go out and war against each other, but for us to go out and learn from each other.
Yes. Thank God.
You know? But think man being man went and got it backwards. You don't look like me, so I don't like you. You don't think like me, so I don't like you. And it's really so asinine because, and like I was saying the other day, we're all ripples of the same body of water.
Gosh.
Back to you, Mr. Motivation.
You're the man of the hour. Y'all, thank you very much for this day as we continue to move forward. I am appreciative of every one of you. Hey, Gina up there in the hospital. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to talk to you in a minute. You guys have a great day on purpose. God bless. Take care and take charge over your life, because if you don't, somebody gonna get some charge and you ain't gonna like it. With that being said, LCA for life. God bless. Miss Jeanette, you better call me. Y'all have a great day. Vincent! Goodbye. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. This was good. Thank you, Lynn. Love ya. Hey. Y'all gonna say bye? Didn't I open up the mic?
Bye.
Oh, bye. Hey.
Submitted.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.
Good
Have a
day,
better one.
everybody.
God dang. What's going on with Gina over there? Hello?
Don't forget to you turn off your Facebook Live if you was live.
Thank you, because I was.